What the fuck did I put myself through? Bob the Builder is one of my favorite shows of all time. While it's not on the same levels as, I still think it's a great series. I have done a video on the series in the past, so go check it out if you wish. However, like any good show, it has its high points and its low points. One of those being the topic for today's video. And that is... Ready, Steady, Build. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, why are you even reviewing this? Well, after seeing Thomas and Tugsman's review on it, I thought, might as well give the series a chance, right? But, oh boy, this was a decision that I regret, as this series is very flawed. But it's not all bad, as there are some genuinely good moments sprinkled here and there. But just how bad is this series? Well, let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my review of Bob the Builder, Ready, Steady, Build. The year was 2007. The year that Hit Entertainment announced that 4 of its shows would be entering the world of CGI. These 4 shows included Thomas, Bob the Builder, Fireman Sam, and Angelina Ballerina for some reason. Like, why would you choose that of all shows? Like, why not just do Pingu? Following production of the 5th movie, Race to the Finish, production of the series started in June 2008, with a slated 2010 release date. Sometime, presumably in 2009, Hit put out a test leak of footage for the series, with the audio being taken from the episodes Scratch Go Solo and Muck of the Old School War, respectively. Sandman Animation, the same animation company behind Horrid Henry, animated this leak, as they were originally intended to be the animation studio for the series. This was later changed, and SD Entertainment, the same animation team behind Make Way for Noddy, became the new providers for the series. They would later go on to provide the animation for Angelina Ballerina, The Next Steps. This leak, though, I don't know what the team at Sandman were on when making this. Ew, Lofty looks like he's on crack. Oh my god. Honestly, though, it's actually kinda cool in my opinion. When it came to the English dubs, Neil Morrissey, Rob Rackstraw, and Kate Harbour came back to reprise their roles as their respective characters in the UK dub. The US dub, though, saw an interesting change. Most of the characters in this series had different voice actors compared to the previous eras, including David Menken as Scoop, Sylvia Aldred as Muck, and Horrid Henry herself, Lizzie Waterworth, as Lofty. To whoever at Hit signed off with Lizzie as Lofty, you deserve a lot of credit. The series was eventually aired here in the UK on CBeebies on July 3rd, 2010, with the episode Scratch's Hidden Treasures. Before we begin this, let's of course address the major elephant in the room. The machine's grill mounts actually move. And I kinda like it. Obviously the grill mount staying static and changing expressions every now and then is iconic, but this is still kinda cool. Though, I do have to agree with Thomas and Tug's man that the mouth movement looks especially jarring on Travis. Lofty's is okay, but Travis's is just off-putting to me. Like, why is there so much space when his grill mouth moves? It's so awkward. Other than him, the mouth movements were handled quite well. The animation in particular is pretty good. Obviously, nothing will ever compare to Nitrogen or Ark and Jamfield's work with Thomas, but this is still high quality animation. I don't think SD did a bad job by any means. Their animation was pretty consistent, even if the writing didn't do the characters that much justice. I'll talk about that though in a bit. I appreciate that the series even bothered to bring back some of the Project Build It characters. Packer makes brief appearances in a few episodes, as does Splasher, and even Gripper and Grabberable characters. The most notable of the Project Build It returnees though, is Scrambler. And he's handled fine, I guess. I mean, it's cool that he returned and he's still a part of the main cast, but they didn't really do much with him. And lastly, the music is still very strong. Keith Hopwood is definitely a cool composer. I liked his music for Pingu, and I like his music in Football the Builder. And I think that's about it for the positives. Because, frankly, this series is a notable step down from the previous eras. The writing in particular took a huge nosedive. Most of the episodes are just your bog standard 3 strikes you're out formula. Granted, there were a few in Project Build It, but I could give that a pass, so as long as the stories were enjoyable. I could not say the same thing here. It just gets tiring. It makes you want the episode to end halfway into it. Not to mention that the morals are becoming more blatantly obvious than before, and it's kind of distracting. And while the animation quality is still very high, what even the flying fuck were they doing with most of the set design? I mean, Fixham is alright. That's a cool one. Same goes with the later built Dino Park as well. The rest though, are just so questionable and are just bland. Similar to how most of Nitrogen's sets for Thomas are just nothing but 3 straight tracks. Here's an example. What even the flying fuck is this set in High Tide for Lofty? It just looks like it takes place in the post-apocalypse. But I don't think it's entirely SD's fault. I mean, they were working on Angelina Ballerina's The Next Steps series alongside it at the time. But couldn't they just spend more time in making the sets more like the stop-motion sets? Like, the thing that made the stop-motion series so magical is that the bushes and trees are literally just cardboard cutouts. Couldn't they have just replicated the animation style to correlate with that? I mean, the trees look kinda close, and the renders of the characters are identical to their stop-motion props, but I cannot say the same for the rest of the stuff outside of that. But then we have the characters. Oh boy. Most of them were treated rather poorly in this series, sorry to say. Bob and Wendy, they're fine I suppose. Scoop, for some reason, is now a Karen? Like, what? Buck is now pretty dumb in some of his episodes. Dizzy is okay, I suppose. Kinda hard to mess her up. But the characters that got it worst of all are Rolly and Lofty. Lofty is now a literal scaredy cat in most of his episodes, and it is painful to see him act like this. Now I get that he was frightened of heists and mites in the original series, but that was only brought up every now and then. But here, it almost seems as if that's the character trait the writers seem to give him. And then we have Rolly. Oh my god, what did they even do to this guy? Okay, him interacting with that seagull in that one episode is in character for him. I'll give him that. But in other episodes, he's just... I can't even describe how badly he was treated during this time. It almost makes me wish he was treated much more better than this. Oh yeah, and we even got some new characters in this series. Scratch is alright, not really much to say about him, though he is kind of bland. Not to mention that he is almost a carbon copy of Benny. Like, why not just bring Benny back instead of creating a new character altogether? Why even bother to create a new one entirely? Other than the obvious. The new human characters are admittedly nice additions, and give the series more life. And Rubble is alright, I suppose. It's nice that they have some sort of dumpster truck now. Shame that they only introduced him now, and not in, say, Project Build It. Anyways, on to the episodes. Now, similar to what Thomas and Tugsman did in his Ready Steady Build review, I will be taking a look at 2 episodes from both seasons. However, unlike what TNTM did, I will instead spice it up a little. Talk about one positive episode and one negative episode, basically covering the best and worst from both seasons. Now, my favourites from season 17 is kinda hard to say. But if I had to pick one, I guess it would be Dizzy and the Wheelies. Simply because I thought the dynamic between Dizzy and Scramble was pretty neat. The Dizzy episodes in particular weren't actually that bad in the grand scheme of things, for the most part. Now, the worst episode from season 17 really shouldn't come as a surprise to no one. Oh yeah, it's Rolly's Rovers. Overlooking the fact that Rolly was just a complete dickhead in this one, literally nothing happens. It's just Rolly not paying attention to Bob, singing chants, then realizing that nothing's been done, and then he pays attention. That's it! Like, I totally get what Clan was saying about Rolly's chants, and how arriving at a chant totally works. But not in this scenario. Oh, and did I forget to mention that this episode was written by Sharon Miller? Like I've said before, I don't hate Sharon Miller as a person, but I just cannot stand her writing. It ain't the worst she's ever written, but it's still an absolute chore to watch, and is easily the worst of season 17. Now, season 18 was kind of a toughie, as I don't really particularly like any of the episodes this season. They're all just varying levels of mid. But if I had to pick one, it would be Muck of the Old School Wall. Just because I really like seeing the vision of a dragon painting on the wall. That is something that the school kids would totally do. And it was nice to see Ella again. Now, the worst of this season shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone watching this. It is an episode that literally no one likes. Because we can all collectively agree that Scoop's big job is awful. This one boils my blood. Scoop is written as an absolute arsehole in this episode, whining about the fact that he doesn't get to do the big jobs. And it's even more infuriating because we've seen him with this type of struggle before. Twice! Easily one of the worst in the entire show's history, next to Rolly brings the house down. I cannot decide which of these two is the worst, but I'm more so leaning to this one. Hardcloud did a great review of this episode talking about why it sucks ass. I would highly recommend checking out her video if you get the chance. But in short, this episode was horrible, and it portrays Scoop at his absolute worst. Now, before we wrap up this review, I want to do one final thing and have one of my viewers share what they have to say on this series. For those who aren't aware, my good friend on YouTube and Discord, SMG3 Fanatic, is a massive Bob the Builder fan. Probably on par with me being a massive Thomas fan. So, here is what she had to say on this series. Take it away, Gart.
Thank you, Cartoon Manas. Alright, everybody, as you may all know, Ready Steady Build has been around for 13 years as of 2023, well, soon to be 14 as of 2024. My first exposure to Ready Steady Build when I was like, maybe 5 or so. 5 or 6, I'm not too sure. Now, unlike the CGI Fireman Sam, I didn't mind the CGI in Bob the Builder because they tried to keep it to the original as close as possible. What I really like is how the machines can move the grill mouse. I know it's strange, but you can really tell they really went all out with these expressions. The stories are mostly mediocre, some are pretty bad, and a few episodes are actually pretty good. One example of a bad episode is Rolly's Rovers. I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's done by Sharon Miller. She did her half-assed writing. And yes, it's true. But at least it is tolerable to watch. Compared to Scoop's Big Job, Rolly's Rovers is a good episode. My saying is the absolute favorite. 9. Scoop's Big Job is a big mess that messed up Scoop. To be quite honest, Ready Steady Build was the start of the controversy that Bob the Builder will have pretty soon. And this also applies to the reboot that we shall not talk about. The machines, they didn't really act themselves anymore. Scoop went from a Karen leader into a Karen. Mug is sort of the same, but a bit stubborn. Dizzy is definitely the same. Lottie went from a timid but friendly crane, but into a scaredy cat way too often. And Rolly came from a calm and loving music lover that is very caring into a complete dick. I'm not kidding. If you watch so many episodes of Ready Steady Build, you can see that Rolly has become a huge dick. That's all I gotta say for Ready Steady Build. I advise you stay away from it at all costs unless you are a true Bob the Builder fan, then go right ahead and bleach your eyes. Back to you, Cartoon Mantis.
The word I would use to describe Ready Steady Build is disjointed. This series, unfortunately, spelled bad news for the franchise. While there are some good moments in this, like the good animation and the return of some of the Project Build It characters, this series honestly just kind of feels like an afterthought. And I'm not that surprised that the series ended after this, because that's just proof that the team at HIT really didn't know what to do with the show at this point. It's a shame though, that a show like Bob the Builder, one of the massive shows of the late 90s and early 2000s, all of a sudden disappeared into thin air. Granted, we could see something in the future for the franchise, like maybe a chance of redemption or something, but right now, I don't really have my high hopes of the franchise at this point, given as to what's happened with Thomas. But for now, we can all enjoy the stop motion series whenever we feel like it, and remind ourselves just what made Bob the Builder so special in the first place. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is actually my second take of this, cause my first take of this wasn't really the best, as it wasn't original. This one was though, and I definitely feel better about it. Big thanks to SMG3 Fanatic for sharing her thoughts on this series. I don't think this video wouldn't have been possible without her contribution. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on the newest content. Until next time, bye guys.